Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Node Mode, the podcast hosted by Depeche Node that discusses all things NFT space and specifically art and investing. As usual, nothing in this video is financial advice. We are not financial advisors. The NFT space is incredibly risky, so always do your own research. And if you enjoy the content, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, share it with your friends. Today's guest, a friend of Node, a friend of mine, Mr. Chris Bennett, an angel investor and advisor, an entrepreneur, and of course, a badass NFT collector. Chris, what's going on?
What's up? Stoked to be here.
Hell
Man,
yeah.
This guy, he's just what I want to be, you know? Give me 10 years. I want to be exactly everything you named off, dude. It's like, oh yeah, I just do some advising on the side, you know, did a couple investments last week. I busy collecting what I love. Man, this guy, he's got it, dude. I'm super excited to have you, Chris. This is going to be great.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's what I'm talking about. Wrong thing on screen there.
Let's look at ourselves on YouTube, everybody.
Yeah.
Let's pull up the channel. Let's shill Node Mode. I appreciate the tweet earlier. You guys shilled my my $2 advertisement for Node Mode when I
we're wallet. We're wallet sleuthing.
Here we go, straight to the wallet. I love this.
I just want to give people context. So these are some of Chris's NFTs in just one wallet, right? And just on the screen right now, I think that a lot of people would say that there's a significant amount of just straight up heat. So, Node, I don't know how you got to know Chris. I got to know Chris because, he's also the founder of an NFT project, Space Plus, an NFT business, I should say, and they sponsored the morning show. But I've always been impressed with the collection. I know you have several Bored Apes, Chris, proof passes. That's like probably the most legendary thing to have acquired because there were only 1,000 of them. And I
minted on day one for 1 ETH.
Oh my God, man. And anybody could have done that. It's not like they sold out in 2 minutes.
Dude, they hit the bottom of the Dutch auction.
Yeah. That's incredible. How'd you know to buy them?
Web 2. So my background is Web 2 marketing, and I was a top digger, dig.com, that Kevin Rose started. And I had like a top 20 dig account that I used to use for part of our agency's marketing plans. And so I've been a fan of Kevin and for a long time. So was listening to Modern Finance podcast, all that stuff. And so when he was dropping it, I was ready. I was watching and ready.
Man, that's impressive because it was like one of the first of its kind, right? Like that was the beginning of a meta that I totally passed on. I saw it. We all saw it come out and we were like, oh, what's this thing? I don't know. I don't know that I want to just jump in on some pass to be, with Kevin Rose. And like, we all discarded it. So like, yeah, how did you feel? Did you see like this meta coming for different passes, or what kind of inspired you to buy besides Kevin Rose?
No. So you're totally right. I feel like proof was what mutants did for derivative drop, like additional drops with apes to for passes. I feel like that it was kind of like the same shift, because after that, passes became like the thing, the meta, right? And anyways, I didn't think it was going to go crazy. I just thought I was paying a couple grand to chill with Kevin, like in a Discord. And I bought 2 on that day. In like a week or 2, maybe it was like 3 weeks, they went to like 5 ETH. I sold my second one thinking I was a genius because like, dude, I'm in for free. I'm in proof for free now. And then Grails, when he announced Grails, I was like, whoa, this is like way different than just a Discord group. This is like really cool. And it started going nuts. So then I bought a second pass at 26. And that's my punk. That's what I call my punk pass. So when that pass gets to where I can swap for a punk, I'll be selling it and just buying punk. Because that's my biggest miss ever, is
not buying punks.
Oh yeah, and I saw him at $1,000. I'd been watching him since $1,000. Yeah.
Dang.
That's tough. Yeah. Shout out. I see a couple portals in here. Shout out to you, Chris. That's what I'm talking about. How much other D do you have, man? You have a lot.
Dude, so I minted all mine for my apes, right? So I have 2 apes and 3 mutants. I got 1 coda, mutant coda like you.
Yep.
I bought another coda on secondary. I'm very bullish on the codas.
Yep.
And then the rest of those are actually my sons. They wanted to do other side and stuff, so they own those. I have twin boys that are total degens.
Dude, that is so rad. I mean, just scrolling through this, like with Pio scrolling, like your OpenSea wall. I mean, this looks good. Like
look at that one right
looks
there.
Nice.
2 proof passes next to the xcopy.
Dude, most people's just filled with garbage. And that xcopy is the one that's on your hat, right? Dude,
yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. I love
Damager.
that.
You had to burn the afterburns for that one.
Oh, was that 1-to-1, or did you have to do multiple?
No, you had to burn 2 afterburners, and then you got to choose between 3: the red guzzler, the damager, and the reachback. Wow, and then there was like some dynamics on like the edition size and stuff like that. But that was my favorite, like art wise. So I grabbed that one.
I definitely got to credit Chris. He's the one that got me into grifters, like opened my eyes to when those were coming out. And so I snagged one at 70th, I think, because of Chris. So
I had to press you pretty hard. I had to press you pretty hard for you to get the grifters.
It was like 7eth, you know what I mean? That's not, I know the other day, like Keyboard Monkey on Up Only the other day called 80th dust. He's like, yeah, I had some dust sitting around. It was 80th. Yeah. For me, that's not dust. You know what I mean? That's a big time buy for the node. So that was it was a challenging one, but I'm glad that I did it.
Grifters are still a buy. There's only 666.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a generative set, but they're all unique, right? They're 1-of-1s.
Yeah, just like a chromie, just like a something else.
So I think,
and it's got the PFP and the art.
Yeah, it's both, dude. Who knows? Do you think that xcopy is going to do something more with the grifters at all, or just kind of leave it at art?
I don't know, but I wouldn't care, and I think they're buy.
Yeah,
still.
What a gangster response, like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's xcopy,
What's the floor on Max Payne? 0.84. Wow.
It's coming back.
Yeah, I was scooping some at 0.4 like a month ago. Damn. Some more. I have a bunch. Because who knows if he does another burn, right? It's going to be those, because that's Afterburner was the open edition. Max Payne is the new Afterburner. And maybe he'll do it next year again. Let's real quick, that nifty gateway drop he did was bonkers. Bonkers. Yeah. So bonkers.
So for people that don't know, I remember this. Afterburn. So
it's under xcopy. It's under just the main xcopy one.
Yeah, Guzzler.
Yeah, there it is.
Guzzler is the best in this one. Look at this thing. So good.
So I did a red. Insane. I did a red guzzler too, but I sold that because I like the damager better. So I sold that to recoup all my entry for all the afterburners and stuff. But the guzzler is dope.
Oh, it's so awesome, man. I'm just such a big fan of xcopy. I mean, we talked about xcopy in one of our kind of like art deep dives. I think it was the first episode of Node Mode and how original he is. Afterwards, people were pressing me trying to say that he's inspired by Basquiat, but I'm sure he is, but I mean,
because of skeletons.
Yeah, exactly. My perspective on that, and I did my mom test, right, which I've alluded to on the show. We were talking about off air, and she was like, "Nah," and she's really quick to say this person's copying that person. I don't know if I've seen these green afterburns, Chris.
Yeah, dude. So that was part of the nifty drop too. If you had one, I think you could burn it for a green one and switch it.
Yeah, that was the 1-to-1 burn, I think. Yeah.
And then if you had 2, you could get the red guzzler, the reachback, which was his only Tezos drop ever, was the reachback. So it was the ETH version of the reachback, and then the damager, the one that I got.
Wow. So these in the the nifty gateway bear market, which happened after the kind of bubble burst after like March, April 2021, the bottom on Afterburn, if I recall, was $1,500 US. It looks like 3 days ago it was trading at, there was one low ball sale at 4,500, but almost 2 weeks ago it's at $6,000. So even now in the broader NFT bear market, it's up from there.
And that's after it's been burned and used, right? Like who knows if it will ever do anything again, and it's still holding.
It's pretty nuts. I mean, I'd be curious, Chris, and I don't mean to take Node's show away from him. Do you see any sort of big opportunities? Like you're talking about how you were buying those Max Paynes at 0.4. Like, what do you like today in this market? I saw you bought one of those Murakami sneakers. I bought one of those too. No brainer, right? But what do you like in today's market?
Dude, every time I listen to your freaking show in the morning, I end up buying crap, and it's costing me so much money because I bought it right after Nick did. But my kids buy My kids, I don't care. I wear Vans. Like I'm a surfer. I don't really care about shoes.
Yeah.
My kids though, big time. They're all about the dunks and all that stuff and the next generation. And these right now, today I bought them for way cheaper than any of like even a crappy dunks drop goes for on secondary. And that's going to be historical for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
so yeah,
he's a big time artist in the traditional art world, which is why like this matters. And so this is an official collaboration. So that's why I bought it. But I guess, is there anything else that you're looking at in today's market that you think is interesting?
Good question. Let me think. So I have a couple things. I have a list where every time I make like a pretty decent sale where like I can put a bunch of ETH to something substantial, but I also have some discretionary ETH for like degen mints and stuff. I was always going back and like buying max pains if they're under 0.5.
Yeah.
And then I buy Nifty. So I have other wallets with year passes. I think they're really undervalued. I have like a list of like 5 or 10 things like that are really cheap that I'll just keep like DCAing into. Right now that I would say is like cheap. So I think for someone who's long, so my background is angel and that kind of stuff, which forces you to be long. Like we joke that JPEGs are illiquid, like angel investing is extremely illiquid, right?
So like, I mean, like come on.
Way worse.
Yeah. Like JPEGs are nothing. Like they're so liquid compared to angel. And which is really good. It taught me to be really long. And which has helped me a lot in the NFT space. I was very impressed and stoked on the proof announcement. Time equals bleed in this market. And so the fact that the mystics or mythics, whatever they're called, aren't coming out till like next year, oddities are probably going to drop below 1 ETH again. And I will definitely be scooping. I have like 12 right now. I'll be buying oddities.
So under 1 ETH.
As they bleed. Yeah. Under 1 ETH. I'm not buying anymore right now. But I mean, every day it's coming down like 0.1.
It's like 2 days after the announcement. Imagine it's going to be in 90 days.
Because it wasn't instant.
People are like, oh my
instant.
gosh. Yeah, it wasn't instant. It's like in 90 days, people are going to be dumping these. It's like, the announcement was for January. And they're going to take, right? It's going to take 400 days minimum to get the mythics, right?
But being long, it's like a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Yeah. Like I was buying Jeff Staples shoes this time last year for the Clone X mint in December. And it ended up being some of my best trades ever. I was buying Jeff Staples at like 3 ETH and they gave you 2 mints. And I just sat on them and I didn't stress at all. And it ended up being one of my best trades I've ever done going into that. But because I was long and I was patient and I picked something worthwhile, So I think oddities are in that Pio, in that group.
I was going to ask about oddities, but I didn't want to ask about it first. I wanted whatever answer you gave to come just from you. I didn't want to influence you at all.
Cool. No, I appreciate it. I'll give you one different that people probably aren't thinking. Sure. I think Nina's Super Cool World from the Goda drop for sure.
Okay.
Watch that on drops and be buying. If you're thinking long, again, to anybody listening, like my answer is long thinking. I'm not talking about like flipping.
We're talking Vitalik long, you guys. We're talking Vitalik long.
I don't know if anybody's that long. I don't know if anything's that long.
No. Whoa. No. I expect that from Nick. I expect it from Kicks. I didn't expect it from you.
That's a Kicks joke.
I got to come out of left field, in order to keep this guy entertained, Like I got to get this viewership up. And, like this is... Sometimes you gotta toe the line. So okay, but tell me more about like Nina's Super Cool World. Why do you see that this is a buy? Because
Nina is really rad. She's a really good, really cool, very popular trad artist. She did a killer drop with Michael Jordan on shoes. They were super killer. So she's doing really, really cool stuff. Museums are already starting to pick up this piece. They've announced on the Go to channels and stuff like that. And I just think again, if you're long under 1 ETH, I think it's a pretty safe bet. It's also pretty low supply too. I think it's like 2,000 or something.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I want to like
5,000. It's 5,000.
I want to like
pretty
it.
Decent.
I want to. So maybe if price goes up, I'll like it more.
I like it.
You do.
I like this volume on it. It's pretty liquid.
This market, dude. In this market, that's crazy. In this
Chris,
market.
Do you like it at 55? Like what were you buying it at?
Well, I got to mint, right? I have 2 Go passes and I got a rare one and flipped and like recouped all my entry to the Goda passes because I paid like 6 ETH for them or something. 55 is probably a buy. 0.55 if you're, you know, with long. I'm probably going to look for sub 0.5. Like for now, like because I already have some, but to get more.
Right. Nice. So for people that don't know, this is Nina Chanel Abney. She is apparently like, so I'm not like up to date on who's hot in the market right now, but apparently she's about as hot as you can get in the like art market right now for the most part. And if you look at all of our other stuff, it's incredibly dope. Instagram's the best platform ever. It's so great that you can't use it on desktop. So, you know, my apologies, ladies and gentlemen, I can't click on anything or scroll down that far apparently. But Node, this will make you like the art more as if you look at it in the context of her other stuff. Yeah. And Node, when we talk about original, I think that this is very original. Very, very original.
Very.
I like that. I like that. That's super cool.
Show me another drop that looks anything like that.
Yeah, like in traditional, this is she's great. People are thrown off by the style of this particular PFP, well, or whatever you want to call it, this collection. I think it is her take on profile pictures, you know, in her own way, very original. And your typical NFT market participant is going to say like, that looks like my 5-year-old made it with construction paper or something like that. That person will probably say that they don't think Jackson Pollock is good art, right? So it's not exactly a person that you want to like listen to.
And that person's actually Nick O'Neill. That's that person that was saying it.
yet they have 10 VFriends.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And no shade at Gary, but yeah, go ahead. No.
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as art,
lots of shade at Nick.
I mean, if you're, you know, they're ragging on the art, but then they'll go by VFriends.
Right.
Yeah. And I think there's from some things I'm working on behind the scenes and some other stuff, and we can talk about them a little bit today. I feel very confident that the trad art market is coming very soon. Through, I think, what needs to be Web 2.5. I don't think it's going to be through MetaMask and DeFi wallets. It's going to be through credit card transactions that then get you into a wallet, and things like that. But I've seen some things that have shown me. There was a drop that was done earlier this year, and it was a multi-edition on the Kiss, super famous traditional art historical piece. The Kiss, the Belvedere did the drop, and it did really well, and no one in Web3 bought it. It was all trad art collectors, and it was digital. And it did like, I can't talk about how much it did, but it did really well. And it makes me very bullish for things like Nina and stuff like that down the road. If you're long, again, my whole mentality is being long.
Well, I like the sound of that. Node, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I like that you mentioned that, because it just feels like, you know, you and Kadeen both kind of mentioned this concept of just digital art in general, right? Like, stop calling them NFTs, just it's digital art. But now that Pio's pulled this up, I want to learn. I mean, there's a lot of interesting art passes out there right now, right? There's GM DAO, we've got Goda, there's a bunch of other stuff out there. Tell us, do you have so you own a couple of these, right? Can you give us some background on what Goda is, and is it still a buy right now, or should we wait a little bit?
I think, is my signal coming in okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. I think Goda's a buy. Anything under 10 ETH for Goda, I think, is a buy. Again, long term, but you're also getting drops. They just did the Todd James this last week. Those haven't revealed yet. The unrevealed images are in that same wallet you were scooping on mine, but yeah, you can see them right there. Goda's rad. Goda is trying to do this, you know, onboarding of traditional art collectors. And they've done a really good job, and they have a killer team. Their team's crazy, and they're also partnered with really cool. I mean, Kaz, Kaws, Kaz, not Kaz. Well, and Cosmo, I think, is an advisor too, but also Kaz himself.
Here he is, Pharrell Williams, Kaz.
Yeah, Pharrell.
You got Sean Neff, dude. The Neffs, anything they're involved in, they're like the coolest guys in the world.
So
they really are.
So Neff is a homie of mine. That's why I have a Goda pass. So he's a good friend. He's the one who convinced me to buy my first NFT ever, because I was having that conversation with him about punks. I had watched them from 1 to 10K to 17K. And then we were in, it was last year, June, and punks were like 30 ETH. And I was like, I don't know, man, that seems insane. And I've missed it so many times. And he's like, well, then just buy apes. And so he told me to buy 2 apes. I got my first 2 NFTs ever were 2 apes at 6 ETH because of Neff.
Dude, so, that is rad. I know his brother Chip. They're the kind of guys like you see him and you're like, that guy's just cooler than me. Like no matter what I do, like he's just got it going on. Like And Sean Neff, he started a snowboard beanie company and it blew up. It got huge and turned into a huge lifestyle brand. But yeah, he's
like a culture. He's a culture. They call him the brand whisperer. But I was in LA at a dinner a couple weeks ago with a portfolio company he and I both invested in, and he got us into this crazy spot that I guess you can't get in. And we're sitting there and like all this, like everybody's walking through. I mean, like every movie star, it was like straight out of the movies. I had never been in anything like that. It was wild. It was so wild.
That's awesome. Okay. So go to, it's primarily, they're trying to get a lot of just trad art and get them kind of into the NFT world. Is that kind of the premise?
They're bringing on trad art to digital art. I mean, that's the short, the TLDR version with very highly curated drops, not a lot of drops. And they've done something smart too, where their drops are usually a little bit bigger than their pass. So there's 1,000 pass holders, or I think like 1,100, like 1,100. And like the Todd James, I think there was 1,500 of them. And so what they'll do is they'll do a pre-mint raffle for everybody else. And so they're doing a really good job at like engagement on growing new people on top of pass holders too, which I think is smart.
And am I looking, so this Todd James, is this like unrevealed right here that I'm seeing?
That's unrevealed. That just mint this week.
Okay. And is it, so is it, so this one's generative art. So they're doing generative art stuff. Do they do additions as well? Or how do all the,
so far they haven't, it's only been Nina, the one we were looking at earlier,
which was generative,
because they just launched this summer.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep.
This looks so cool. This is totally interesting. Chris, the success of all of this is completely dependent on the traditional art market coming into the space, because crypto investors, I think, view all of the art side of the NFT. I mean, really the whole NFT market, but specifically the art side, is having a bit of a ceiling because we're all just kind of like selling it to each other, right? I mean, obviously there are new people coming in, but if the traditional art collectors come in a proper way, that's when you're going to see some just crazy shit go down with NFTs on the art side. And you'll see like a major resurgence of like when NFTs first hit the mainstream, it was all about digital art. That was all you heard. It wasn't about Bored Apes, which are basically like baseball cards or something like that, right? Which is a totally different speed. And in fact, a lot of digital collectibles, a lot of people that got into those digital collectibles like Bored Ape Yacht Club, Gutter Cats, and all the subsequent projects, they almost had they had a stigma against art, just like a lot of the art folks have a stigma against collectibles. And I think that you'll see that proper comeback of art and doing these shows with Node and talking about art blocks and everything, talking to Zeneca about art blocks. It got me like really like thinking and just I can kind of see the long term. You're saying that you genuinely think that we're going to see a proper onboarding of the traditional art market in the next X number of years?
I think sooner than later. I think all that's waiting is some really good credit card process. I think something that's like how Nifty Gateway does it, but that it doesn't have to be layer 2 and like all clunky where you're like exporting your stuff and waiting a day or two for it to pin, and things like that. Like if there's a more smooth, like if Shopify comes out with a credit card buy and an ETH buy kind of custodial wallet type play that you can like plug into sites and stuff, I think that's when it comes in. I think that like a Web 2.5 really done well is kind of like what will bring it in.
Yeah, I think it feels
that's my
like
opinion.
It's custody, right? Like it's custody that seems to be the biggest barrier. Like payments, one thing, it's been easy to buy anything off Nifty Gateway with a credit card, but like the custody piece, if they can sort that out and make it easy, and dude, even do some kind of white glove service, right? Where dude, if Sotheby's or Christie's, if they were smart, then maybe they'll do this, right? They should come up, they should have a custody service.
I agree 100%.
Like a high-end custody service. Man, I'm a freaking genius.
Look what are they called? What's their names have done it for Bitcoin, and they've grown like crazy. They're in New York. Yeah, Winklevoss, but man, what is their name? They're basically like the Goldmans of Bitcoin. They launched like a year ago or two, and they're like destroying with like
it's just like institutional custody,
multi-sig. You have to have $1 million worth of Bitcoin to start it. NYDIG.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, NYDIG. So and it really helped a lot of people get into Bitcoin because it's a lot of traditional people. And the same thing needs to happen with NFTs too. I've heard that Coinbase probably will have NFT custodial enterprise solutions by the end of this year, December, January.
Foregone conclusion. So our friend of the show, Dan Freebairn, he's got a sneakers NFT collection. He comes from the sneaker world, so he knows art. He said he's thinking of selling a Doodle for a GOTA pass. I kind of feel like that's probably a good move. Doodle's still, fetching that premium. What do you think, Chris?
So Doodles are actually a buy for me right now. Like if you're thinking long, for sure. But GOTA Pass is definitely gonna give you stuff. Like it's gonna give you stuff that's worth more. Definitely with over probably the next 6 months or something. And I think the upside, GOTA hasn't even really popped in my opinion yet. Their volume's really good, but if we were in a bull right now, like it'd be a 25 ETH pass right now.
And just so I'm clear, the way that it works, are you just guaranteed a mint for every drop, and you still pay for the mint, or is it free?
No, you still pay, and there's different prices based off of what they worked out with the artist, but it's for sure, you're guaranteed to get it and stuff like that. Or like with Nina, we got 2. They did 5,000, but if you hold the pass, we got 2. So 2,000 of them went to holders. So got then, like for me, I got the flip one right away, and it covered my cost to a GOTA pass.
Unbelievable.
Jeez.
And her high on her floor was like 1.3 for the floor.
Dude, I had a rare that I sold like 2 days after it revealed for like 5.6 or 6 ETH.
Crazy,
gangster. So is the way that I see the so like if I just try and put the number hat on, right, and I look at the GOTA pass, what was it, 10 ETH, Pio?
No, it's less.
Oh, it's
less.
Like
6.7 or something. They always go down. They always go down a little bit after a drop, and they just had the drop, right?
Node is so buying this thing. If anyone wants to take bets on this, if anyone wants a line on whether Node's going to buy this thing, I can't believe he doesn't already have it. This is a joke.
Yeah,
He's so going to buy this thing.
There's like,
so going to buy this thing.
All I gotta think, if we just look at the numbers, right? So you just have to say, okay, I can make 6 ETH, to pay for the pass. Like that would be the goal. Can I make 6 ETH over the course of these mints? Like, because the other hard part about art is like, I want to hold on to the stuff that I'm getting. You know what I mean? So it's like I pay for the pass, then I pay for more art, which is fine. But you kind of have to double it up on some of these if you want to be able to flip and then get your money back, right?
Yeah, but some of them you'll get 2,
That's right. Like you got 2 for Nina.
Yeah, you got 2 for Nina. We didn't get 2 for Todd.
Start putting stink bids tonight.
But then look, here's the thing. Look at that page you pulled up earlier with Neff. There's a guy on there, starts with a K. If he does a drop with them, this pass is going to 50.
Well, he's going to do a pass. He's going to do a drop with that.
They haven't said, but yeah, exactly. He's an advisor. And Pio knows what I'm talking about. If he does a drop.
Look at this guy, dude. He's getting me so excited. Oh man, this is the
I'm
danger,
bummed because
dude.
I want like 5 passes and I'm pumping I'm going to price myself out now. With this
what I love about this is like, what's happening on this like live stream is exactly how my conversations go with Chris when we just do phone calls. And he's just like telling me
a lot of money.
He's telling me, yeah, no kidding, dude. We're like, oh yeah, dude, I'm going in. This thing's going to the moon. Oh, but I think I'm probably gonna get one of these. Like, it's right up what I would be very interested in. Although, okay, here's a question for you. I know it's kind of maybe slightly off the topic, but I was chatting with shout out to Hofstra. I was on his little podcast yesterday.
His little podcast, so much respect.
You're a little guy, dog. No, dude, he's awesome. It was just because it was later at night. I felt like, yeah, this is not, I'm just going to hop on here. I didn't feel so much pressure.
Web3 DJs is the name of the podcast.
Web3 DJs, dude. It was awesome. And dude, he put together a little, oh, here we go. A little again. But it was like a little, what do you call it? It was just like a little piece to commemorate
trailer?
It. Yeah. It was like a trailer and he put it out on Twitter and it had some Depeche Mode singing in it, dude. It was awesome. But anyway, he had a really interesting perspective on art. Like he mentioned this. And I want to get your take on this, Chris, because it really got me thinking. He was like, look, all of the big art investors that he knows, like they only buy dead artists, right? Because they're the ones that have solidified their place in history.
And built-in scarcity.
Yeah, and built-in scarcity. And so here we are at the very beginning of, really the very beginning of ownable digital art, I would say, right? And generative art. And everybody's still alive. And we're like a year and a half in. does that scare you in terms of like, okay, who's going to be relevant next year or in 10 years? Or are you just collecting because you love the art?
Are you saying, am I scared because everybody's so young and new and alive? And so it's like,
right. It's like, how do we know
with trad art coming in?
Yeah. And I'm thinking like, look, in my mind, Dmitry Cherniak, Ringers, and Tyler Hobbs Fidenza are just iconic. But at the end of the day, it was like a year ago that they were released. You know what I mean? And so like, are they going to be viewed as iconic in 10 years? Do I need, how do you try and balance that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've thought about a lot because what's interesting? We've had a couple pretty big crypto native artists pass away this last year. What was it?
A lot of money.
A lot of money. And then the actual old generative artist who did a quantum drop, what's his name? He passed away recently too. He was actually like a trad art, and like it didn't do much for a lot of money.
A lot of money wasn't as big as...
No, it's true. True.
But he was big in his own way.
Yeah. And the quantum one, it ran up that day. Like people were speculating that day. And then they all started taking offers like 2-3 days later that were really low ball. And I'm sure still, again, thinking long, that's probably a really good buy. But it is weird. I was paying attention to that because I've thought of that too. Node. I don't know. And here's why. I don't know that it will matter as much. And here's why, is because of how liquid this market is. It's a lot different than trad art. And I think when trad art really figures that out, it's going to blow their freaking minds. Like, because again, we joke about how illiquid JPEGs are compared to trad art. Are you kidding me? Like, have you tried to sell a $5 million painting? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could sell a $5 million in an xcopy a lot quicker than you could sell a $5 million painting, even from a very notable artist. And you got to, there's so many intermediaries, right? Like, I love the trustlessness of of how liquid we are too. So I think that will help a lot, kind of offset that a little bit, because there will be more volume in general. Because of that, there'll be more people exposed to it. There's a lot more people that can participate through our version of the art world than the traditional art world. And I think that'll kind of offset some of that. I guess that's my quick thought on that too.
Yeah,
I do think.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go. No, you go is kind of a tangent.
Sure. What I was going to say is that there is something to what Node is saying. A comparison that I make, and by the way, before I say this, some of this is going to sound morbid, and it's just me like speaking objectively about like the way this stuff works, right?
For sure. And I didn't mean any disrespect.
To die. That's what he's about to tell you right now.
And I don't mean any disrespect by saying, people who have passed away, floor didn't go up and stuff like that. I'm the same. Okay.
Of course. And so like you look at Basquiat's work, and he died at 27. He's part of like the 27 club. A lot of very famous artists in different disciplines died at age 27. And now I think he is officially like the top selling, or he posted the biggest sale ever or something like that, like $100+ million for a single painting, or it might have even been more. He's one of them. He's one of the guys, right? I look at music. You look at like Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. Tupac died at 24 and Biggie died at 25, I believe, right around there. Biggie only had one album that came out while he was alive, his first album. Tupac was a lot more prolific. They're both like, legends now, like both of them, but especially Tupac, because you always have that question of like, what would they have done afterwards?
For sure.
I look at Eminem, right? Who I view as like one of the, like best rappers of all time. Yeah. If he died after, you could say the third album, but even if he died after the second album, after he died after the Marshall Mathers LP, then he would be like, just like Tupac and Biggie. They'd be like, look at what this guy accomplished. This is crazy. And so like, if you look at examples, it's really weird to say if this person died. So I'm not trying to be incredibly weird, but I'm trying to use an example. We were talking about, like how original this project is, and yet the market isn't like favoring it. And Danny's like a really young guy. Like if this was the last piece of work that a guy like that ever put out, and he had already been in MoMA, and he was kind of being heralded when this came out as the fine art.
Yeah, he was.
You know what I mean? That would have the price would have gone completely crazy. And then instead the next year, he like his action kind of made the market a little less bullish. I mean, it's not that he can't come back. Like he could totally come back, but I'm just using it as an example of how things can kind of go. So I'm just pointing that stuff out, same
and to that point, if xcopy passed away, that freaking, give me a break. I mean, it'd be done.
Give me a break. It would be a wrap. Like
in seconds, it would be done.
I love what you just typed in there before xcopy, Pio. It was like another language, dude. Did you see that?
No,
it was like backslash colon parentheses, dude. Like not a single letter made it into that.
Hacker.
That was amazing.
Anyway,
while we're on the art, before things get derailed, and we got to talk real quick. If we're talking about up and coming artists, I mean, look, this is my infinite objects of Louis Ponce. Talk about an original artist. Like I gotta tout this guy. I'm one of his biggest collectors, but I freaking love Louis.
Whoa,
he is amazing.
So they're gonna give me a seizure, but yes, it's very dope.
He was in Grails too, right?
Yeah, he was in his Grails was so beautiful.
It was sick. And you had were those in your wallet? They look kind of like they were blue and white. Was that Louis Ponce as well, or is that someone else that I'm thinking of? It was almost more glitchy. Anyway, this is definitely unique.
He's amazing.
Very original.
He's very unique. I think he's going to be massive.
Well, he's not doing bad now.
Price of 20. Is it this is one of the ones you have right there?
That's an addition. So he just started doing ETH. He started out on Tezos. His super rare is what you would want to pull up. That's where he's only done ETH drops so far. So fun story on that. Some of my best connections in this space. I joke around a lot that I came for the collecting, but stayed for the connecting because there's so many awesome connections in the space that I made in the last year. Some of my best connections in this space have been from auctions, participating in auctions and going at it with other people. And what will end up happening is the other people I'm going at will end up in my DMs and we'll connect that way. And then I'll also end up connecting with the artist because my wallets are docs. So he'll hit me in my DMs and be like, you're freaking crazy, or whatever. And it's super fun. That's how I met Louis. That's how I met Des Lucrece, who K. Dean loves as well.
Oh, that's who I was thinking of. Yeah, that was in your wallet. Yeah. Des Lucrece. It's like xcopy inspired, but not like doesn't look like a direct ripoff or anything. I like his stuff.
And his story is amazing. He's so good. So anyways, long story short, I've been collecting Louis Ponce on Tez for a long time. Like I was buying his stuff for a couple hundred Tez and most of them now are thousands of Tez. He did his SR Genesis and it's a Saturday. So on SR where you set your price and then it's if someone meets that bid it takes 24 hours, like it kicks off the auction, right? So he set it at like 7 ETH or something like that and I started it. I'm like, I'm buying this. Like this is a Genesis. He's one of my favorite. Nobody bids. It's 23 hours and 30 seconds. I'm like, dude, I'm getting a freaking Louis Ponce SR Genesis for 7 ETH. Like, let's go. Like, this is the best day ever. All of a sudden a bid comes in 8 ETH. And I'm like, oh my gosh, last 30 seconds. Like, what a jerk, like what a sucker. I'm so mad. So I'm going and we're going. I'm literally at the grocery store bidding through my hot wallet. and I'm stopped like in the aisle. I got tons of groceries and I'm bidding on my hot wallet. And we get to like 15 and all of a sudden K. Dean hits my DMs and I don't know him at the time. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm getting this piece. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, how high are you going to go? I'm like, I'm getting this piece. And so they do it like all of a sudden because it's an Anon wallet. All of a sudden it goes again. And then I go again. And then all of a sudden Kaz is in my DMs. And he's like, are we doing this? And I'm like, oh, shoot. I'm like, did this honestly just happen? And I'm like, yeah, we are doing this. Like, I'm getting Louis Ponce, like Genesis. Like, I'm telling you, like, I want this, I missed out on so many Genesises of favorite artists earlier on. I'm doing this. So we just start going and going. We get up to like 17 in my hot wallet. I have like 17.2. And he looks it up. He's on a hot wallet too. And K. Dean's sending him ETH from another wallet. And so, yeah, freaking K. Dean. And and it's a Saturday afternoon. And so he looks in my wallet and he bids exactly what I have in my wallet, right? Like the best, like I do that move a lot to people on auctions. And so he does that. So I'm like, screw that. So I transfer, it took me a while because I'm in the freaking grocery store. I transfer ETH from another wallet, from a Coinbase over there. And I take it up another ETH. And then he's like, anyways, long story short, I let him get it. I felt it was very good for Lewis to have his SR Genesis go for like, I think it was 20, or you can go down. It's the bottom one. It might not show it because he ended up transferring it to the Cause wallet after.
It's there. Yeah. Owner Cause. That's what it shows at the top there.
And what did it go for?
Looks like it went for...
Oh, no. So we went to the 15s or something like that. Yeah. You can see my bid, CBIN 97 right in there. So I must have like right there. That was yeah. So,
and then it transferred to Cause right there, dude. That was the wallet. Crazy.
But anyway, since then he followed. Now Cause and I are friends. Like we share deal flow. Kadeen and I are like best friends. And it's like, as bummed as I am not to have a Lewis Ponce Genesis, like it's such a cool story. Like it was so, like that's what's so rad about this space, right? Like that wouldn't happen in any other space.
That's a really good story, man. We're probably gonna end up clipping that for TikTok or something, because that's like that's a juicy one for sure. That one's fun.
It was wild. Yeah.
Well, I'm in the grocery store.
Yeah, like what I love about it too is like the fact that you obviously, he won the bid, but that's also great for the collection to have Cause, putting his rubber stamp on it as well. And then it benefits you for any pieces that you have in the future that are Lewis Ponce as well, right? So I think that's awesome. Okay, I want to transition because I think the title, we talked about Art on Sol, and we haven't chatted at all about Art on Sol. I want to get your take on Art on Solana, because I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a Solana OG. So, I'm just huge into the space.
Okay, let's actually hold on. Let's look at this. Let's look at this real quick, because we might need to put Node in his spot. I need to pull up my wallet. When did you buy your SMB?
Oh, my SMB, I bought it late, of course. It wasn't until January, I think it was 26th or 7th. I looked at it this morning this year.
Let me look.
But I started buying stuff on Sol like a year ago, almost exactly.
Ooh, nice. I'll have to look when I bought. My first one was Degen Apes when they came out. But I suck on Sol. I timed dragons really well. I bought dragons at like 200 Sol and they went to freaking 500 and I didn't sell. And now they're 50. So that'll be my tax loss harvesting for the year. My,
Congrats.
500 Sol to 50 Sol. And I have just been freaking watching Degods going, like basically holding my hand back, being like, because to me, I haven't bought, and I've been looking at it obviously, and I found I could have bought it a long time ago. I loved the space this morning with Frank. That was wild. That was so wild.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it was a really good one. That guy, man, he's impressive. And is he like super young too?
Yeah, early 20s.
Yeah. Wild. He knows how to play it right. He's really good. So anyways, I'm not going to buy. I finally talked myself out of it today because I just feel like I'm buying an ape the day before the other side drop. And it would just be, So I'll for sure be waiting, and I'll buy back in for sure, because I still think I believe in them. One interesting thing, and I don't know where you want to go with this on like Solana and all that stuff, but one interesting thing from this morning, and shout out to Node for the good question on getting the ETH alpha released. Maybe. But to me, doesn't that just show you that in his head, this guy who's created the apes, like the legit apes, not like, oh, it's the next apes, like the legit like project on Solana, still wants to be on ETH. And at the end of the day, and is that because he just wants to make, like, is that because he feels after this next drop, and I'm super excited for like the trading mechanisms that Magic Eden's building in, like that's gonna,
dude,
mic drop, literally.
Man down, dude, down.
Literal mic drop.
He's trying to talk. He's like talking into the stand.
I'll be back.
Yeah. Okay.
And so anyways, I thought it was interesting that, like, at the end of the day, so is that because he feels like he's just milked the Solana market, and while it's for all it's worth, I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. I'm just saying, I'm just saying, like, has he reached his top of volume and stuff like that after the Utes drop? And so they're planning on ETH. Or is it just like, well, ETH has a ton more money, and so we want to just, be cross-chain, or it's that he believes the future's cross-chain, and so he just wants to be a part of that, which, he could be cross-chain, a cross-chain believer, and just want to be part of that too. But my first initial reaction was like, yep, here we go again. Like, they just want to end up on ETH.
I think it's a combination, right? Like he even said, I mean, the way that he framed it, he was trying not to say that, right? But
he was trying not to say it.
Well, he was trying not to say like, we've maxed out Sol, but
yeah, he kind of said it though.
Farouk asked that exact question right after, right? Farouk asked him and said like, do you feel like you kind of maxed out Sol? And he kind of said like, no, but I mean, the reality is he said that his project is bigger than the next 10 combined in market cap. So it's like, I think he realizes like, okay, you're going to need to onboard more people into the Solana marketplace if you want to keep growing within there, which I think he's going to do. But I think he just sees like, well, there's an entirely, he's a sharp guy. There's an entirely new customer base over on ETH, right? And we're going to convert a bunch of them for Utes. But like the market, obviously, like if you look at market cap and you take ETH versus Sol, it's still, night and day when it comes to NFT collecting. So I think it's a little combination. I totally think that he thinks he's maxed it out a little bit.
I just think fundamentally, I think that he really like fundamentally, I think he just thinks about things really simply. And I think he thinks that he wants Degods to be the biggest NFT project, even bigger than Bored Ape Yacht Club and Yuga Labs. And the only way to do that is to go on to whatever blockchain, right? Yeah. Even if it's
wherever it is. Yeah.
Whatever it is. Right now it's ETH, but I think that if it was something else, he would go on something else. So that I just think he's young, incredibly ambitious. And the way that they're actually doing something, right? They're like actually trying really, really hard, which in the NFT space is rare. That recent interview with Bored Ape Yacht Club, I think, shed a lot of light onto the mindset of the Bored Ape Yacht Club founders and the talent level.
That was such a killer interview.
Oh, I watched the whole thing, like every single minute.
Yeah.
And it's because it's because they just were ambitious. It just comes from ambition. And basically this first wave of NFTs, we saw a lot of people. The main ambition we saw was an ambition to repeatedly rug, like actually, like point. Just the most ambitious besides
rug,
like Bored
new
Ape
project mint, rug, new project mint. Yeah,
it was just the rug. Grind the rug, because it's like that's how you make $2 million over and over and over again. And if you didn't see that, you saw people make the $2 million and be like, holy shit, I made $2 million. This is crazy. I've made it, And so Frank is not operating that way. He wants it to be the biggest and best. And he's young. He's 23. And I think the team is pretty young and they're in a young space. I just think they want it to be the top project. And their approach is software innovation. Our approach is content, right? We're different. We're a content squad. There's going to be an art squad. Goda is an art thing, right?
Yep.
Everyone's going to have their own.
Yep.
Exactly. Everyone's going to have their own thing, right? But like their thing is software engineering, it seems, and they want to just triple down on technology innovation. He didn't really want to call it that. He actually just kept driving it back to like the simplest explanation, which is we want to have the best project in the NFT space,
That's a good answer. So one of my friends is really good friends with Mr. Beast. And so I've got to hang out with him a couple times at some parties and events and stuff like that. And here's what I'll say. What reminds me of Frank is with him. Mr. Beast does not care about money at all. He doesn't care about, all he cares about is being the #1 YouTuber in the world.
He's obsessed with it.
At all costs. Yeah, like literally, no, I'm not even joking.
Cool,
I've seen the interviews.
Dude, you meet him, he's in freaking sweats with he's the nicest, most genuine guy in the world. He doesn't even know who he is, like in terms of how he acts, right? You would never know. And he's literally just as genuine and authentic as he comes off as. And
frozen.
Mr. Beast said, you guys aren't going to outperform me on YouTube. I'm going to rug the shit out of Chris Bennett right now.
I was like looking at the Degod and looking at his glasses, and I was like starting to zone out and like stare in there. And I realized, oh my gosh, it's silent. What's happening? We got to get him back. Okay. Hopefully he comes back soon.
Well, we'll see. I like this freeze. There he is. Chris.
Sorry about that. I don't know where I crapped out at. I apologize. But
you just said Mr. Beast was normal.
And he really is just, there's one goal. That's it, is just to be #1. And I could see that in Frank. I could see him being kind of the same. So that's a good answer, Pio, I think.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried, like seeing some of his tweets, because he kept tweeting about floor price and stuff, and I brought that up. But Easy like told me, like I DM'd him about it, and Easy was like, look, you got to remember, like Frank's project, like everybody thought it was dead and a rug for months, you know, and
Dude, for so long.
he
when OK Bears was
hustling.
popping.
Yeah, and it's like he was hustling the whole time, and I liked his answer today on the show. Like he basically said, I'm not going to shy away from talking about floor price because people like to talk about floor price in our vertical. You know what I mean? So
I actually thought that was a really good answer too.
Yeah, it was much more authentic than I thought. And hey, I got Uted, baby. I got my Ute list after that. So mission accomplished.
No way.
Yeah, my guy Micah, dude. He's just been I don't know why Micah's just been like tooting my horn, and I got the notice earlier today, dude. I'm stoked. So
I'm refreshing my application right now, and I'm
Solana,
still not. I don't got it.
I'm a Solana OG. Always have been, dude. Of course.
Chris, this screenshot, this screenshot might play into your application. This stream right here, it's not impossible.
Let's tag him.
Yeah, no, we for sure. I'll tag him and go for it, dude. I owe you tons, man. Let's get you in that list. We got it's like the final, like the midnight hour coming up. Yeah,
do we have to do anything, Node, or it's all automatic?
No, I think it's automatic. I have to go buy some dust, dude.
I have the dust.
I need to get that because I didn't think I was gonna get any. So yeah, I'm gonna buy it right at the top. It's gonna be perfect. Yeah, it'll be great. Of course. But I'll hold long term. Okay, I want to
question. If you have a dead god, do you still have to pay like a couple hundred dust to mint a Ute? If you have a
not sure.
I don't know on that.
I have no idea.
Because that was kind of my play. If I was going to buy at the top right now and do it, it's like at least I'd still be in, you know what I mean? I could maybe sell the Ute if it popped, but I'm waiting. Other side was crazy.
Yeah, I remember being like super worried about, liquidity after that. And I was more right than I wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I had really leaned into my opinion there, because man, I was much more right than I even thought. So, okay, I want to get your take, Chris, on just digital art. So forget about PFPs on Solana. Like K Dean mentioned something interesting in our show last week about like buying digital art on exchange. Is it exchange.art is the marketplace? Yeah. What are your thoughts on this? Like, do you see a lot? Do you see a lot of movement heading to Solana from digital art side, from fine art?
Yeah. So I'm an investor in exchange.art. So I'll preface with that.
Oh, nice. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect chance to shill. Great.
Here we go. This wasn't
pump that a liquid bag.
This wasn't planned for anybody.
I'm like, hey, do you know anything about exchange.art? Let's line this one up. Okay,
hey, I actually don't even own any. I've been way too busy IRL stuff going on from there. So I'm not even pumping my own bag, but the company. But anyways, John Lee's drop was amazing. They crushed. He did really well. I think it's more team. I think it's execution, just like what I look for in angel investing. If exchange.art is good at getting really good artists to come over, whether they're ETH artists or trad art artists and stuff like that, I think they'll do good. I know I've heard of stuff on Wax doing like $4 or $5 million on drops. And it's like, I'm not going to go over there and buy, but I've heard of that stuff. And so my thought is, I think, in terms of just that answer, I think it's about how my bet on exchange.art was less about Sol and more about the team. I was really impressed with them and how they grind and the artists they have lined up. But I do think there's a world there. There's a lot of people making a lot of money in Sol. And I would think, people like Easy and those guys making good money in Sol are going to want to have some Sol art in the digital frame eventually. And so I think so.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's natural that it's going to happen. I think it's going to just take a little bit of time for the market for Solana to mature a little bit. And that's not me firing shots at Solana. It's just the way I think that these things work. Yeah, I'll be curious. No, do you have any Sol art?
No, I don't. I have zero.
I'll tell you what,
I just have PFPs.
Yeah, if Sol could figure out how to get a bunch of Tez artists over, I think there could be a vibe. I think there could be a vibe for sure.
For sure.
Dude, Tez's art is insane. It's amazing. But I don't know after proof of stake actually working, like not this month, but like down the road when it actually is like working and done. I don't know what's going to happen on Tez.
Yeah, I don't know what Tez has to offer from like a competitive standpoint, but
yeah. So if I was a Sol, if I was working on a like exchange.art, I'd be trying to onboard Tez artists over to Sol.
Nice. I like that. Dude, well, thank you so much for coming, man. This has been great. You're welcome back anytime on Node Mode. I don't care what Pio thinks. Even if he says you can't come, dude, you can come back whenever you want, dude. Anytime.
Just in time for my background. Look at the right as we're finishing the show, the background's just bopping on my head right here. I ordered a stand.
Get some quality equipment, dog. You know, his stuff's falling apart.
I ordered a stand.
Pio every time. So Pio loves to say this to me. He's like, Node, you're gonna learn who has a good mic, who's decent, you know, like it on the air, and who's the one with the technical issues today. You know, let's just leave it at that.
It was me, Chris. This was awesome, man. Chris is a friend of the morning show, former sponsor of the morning show, good friend of Node's, a pal of mine. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about the investment opportunity that Chris presented to me yet, so I'm just going to play it safe. I am?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I got to invest in Strike through Chris, so that was really cool. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I was allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get you out to dinner with Jack one of these days.
That'd be incredible. I got to bring Nick to that so that Jack can teach him what Bitcoin is. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you follow Chris. Chris, what's your Twitter handle?
Just at Chris Bennett, just like it's spelled.
Damn, sitting on that Chris Bennett Twitter
That's my
handle.
web too. I was dumb though. I should have got at Chris. Probably could have got it because I was like I was like early to Twitter, and I should have got at Chris. But either way, at Chris Bennett. No spaces, no nothing.
That would have been a big flex. Well, at Chris Bennett, make sure you follow him. You saw his wallet. You saw the moves that he's making. One of the bright minds in the space. Chris, thanks so much, man. Catch you next time.
Appreciate it, guys. Talk to you later.